In the realm of international politics, the ongoing conflict between Ukraine and Russia persists to grab our attention. As with any long-standing feud, the roots of this dispute run deep, weaving a complicated tale of national identity, territorial claims, and geopolitical power plays. The conflict can trace its origins back to the dissolution of the Soviet Union. Ukraine, once a part of this communist superpower, declared its independence in 1991. The journey to sovereignty, however, has been far from smooth. The country has found itself caught in a tug-of-war between Western powers and its eastern neighbor, Russia. Key players in this struggle include the governments of both nations, international organizations such as the United Nations and the European Union, and perhaps most importantly, the people of Ukraine, who stand right at the heart of this conflict. Each party brings its own unique perspective and interest to the table, creating a complex web of alliances and rivalries. The current status of the conflict is, unfortunately, far from resolved. Tensions continue to escalate, with intermittent ceasefires often followed by renewed bouts of violence. According to the United Nations, the human cost of this conflict is staggering, with thousands of lives lost and millions displaced. Moreover, Russia's recent elections add another twist to the tale. These political developments, coupled with the ongoing global response to the situation, only serve to intensify the intrigue surrounding this geopolitical hotspot. As we delve deeper into the intricacies of this conflict, it's essential to remember that the stories we tell are not merely abstract political narratives. They reflect real-world consequences for the people living through these turbulent times. As this struggle for power and sovereignty continues, it's clear that the stakes are high for both Ukraine and Russia. In this complex geopolitical chess game, the question arises, who holds the upper hand? To answer this, we need to delve into the power dynamics of the conflict, examining military strengths, economic leverage, and international support. Let's start with military strengths. On the surface, Russia's armed forces seem to dwarf Ukraine's in terms of numbers and firepower. However, as recent reports suggest, Ukraine's military has undergone significant reforms, enhancing its defensive capabilities and resilience. Next, we turn to economic leverage. Russia's economy is notably larger than Ukraine's, and the country has often used its vast energy resources as a geopolitical tool. Yet, we must not overlook Ukraine's economic potential. The nation is a significant exporter of grain and boasts a robust IT industry, which could play a crucial role in the economic power play. We now shift our focus to international support. While Russia has its allies, the chorus of global support for Ukraine has been resonating louder. Countries around the world have been vocal in their backing of Ukraine, imposing sanctions on Russia and providing military aid to Ukraine. However, these are not the only factors at play. Other elements, such as the resolve of the Ukrainian people, the tactics employed, and the strategic goals of both sides, also influence the balance of power. And let's not forget the recent Russian elections, which have added another layer of complexity to the situation. In essence, the power dynamics in this conflict are multifaceted. It's not a simple matter of who has more soldiers or a bigger economy. It's a complex interplay of military, economic, diplomatic, and human factors, each shifting and evolving with every development. The balance of power in this conflict is not static but dynamic, shifting with every move on the international stage. Amidst this turmoil, the recent election in Russia adds another layer of complexity. In a surprising turn of events, the political landscape of Russia has been shaken up. The elections have just concluded, and the results have left the world watching with bated breath. Different sources, including election reports and political analyses, provide a wealth of information on this pivotal development. The key players in this political drama are no strangers to the global stage. The incumbent, known for his strongman tactics, faced off against a charismatic newcomer whose campaign was marked by promises of change and reform. While the final results were close, it was the newcomer who eventually emerged victorious. This unexpected outcome has sent shockwaves through the political establishment, both within Russia and beyond. However, the implications of this election extend far beyond Russia's borders. The new leadership in Russia could potentially reshape the dynamics of the Ukrainian conflict. Whether this change will lead to a de-escalation or an intensification of the situation remains to be seen. What we do know is that the newcomer has a different approach to international relations compared to his predecessor. His campaign was marked by promises of a more cooperative and diplomatic approach to foreign policy. If these promises hold true, we might see a shift in Russia's stance on the Ukrainian conflict. However, it's essential to remember that campaign promises don't always translate into policy. The new leader will have to navigate a complex web of domestic and international pressures, making it difficult to predict his next moves. As observers, we can only speculate on the potential implications of this election, but one thing is clear: the stakes are high and the world is watching closely. The ripple effects of this election are felt beyond Russia's borders, influencing the balance of power in the ongoing conflict. This conflict and the recent election in Russia are not isolated events. They have profound implications for the global stage. As we delve into the sphere of international relations, it's clear that the tremors of this conflict reach far beyond the borders of Ukraine and Russia. The balance of power is being tested and the world watches with bated breath. Security analysts from globally renowned think tanks have predicted an uptick in global tensions as nations scramble to align their interests amidst this turmoil. The geopolitical chessboard is being rearranged. Traditional alliances might be reevaluated, and new partnerships could be forged in the crucible of this conflict. The world order that we've grown accustomed to is changing, and the ripple effects will be felt in every corner of the globe. Moreover, global security is at stake. The escalation of military activities in the region has put the international community on high alert. The United Nations Security Council has already expressed its deep concern, warning that the conflict could potentially trigger a larger-scale military confrontation. The economic implications are equally significant. Economists from the World Bank and International Monetary Fund have released reports suggesting that the conflict could disrupt global supply chains, exacerbate inflationary pressures, and slow down the global economic recovery. This is not just about Ukraine and Russia, it's about the shifting sands of international diplomacy, the fragile state of global security, and the precarious balance of the world economy. It's about how every nation, every government, and every individual will navigate through these challenging times. The stakes are high and the consequences are far-reaching. The world is watching, waiting, and wondering what will come next. These events are reshaping the world as we know it, heralding a new era of geopolitical dynamics. As we look ahead, the future of this conflict remains uncertain. Various scenarios are possible, each with its own set of implications and outcomes. One potential scenario is the continuation of the conflict. Some political analysts suggest that this may be the most likely outcome, given the deep-seated historical tensions and the high stakes involved in the struggle for power and sovereignty. However, it's important to remember that this ongoing conflict would likely result in further instability, not just for Ukraine and Russia, but for the global community as well. On the other hand, there's the possibility of a diplomatic resolution. This could involve negotiations between Ukraine and Russia, perhaps facilitated by international mediators. Experts from the Council on Foreign Relations, for instance, suggest that a diplomatic solution could bring about a more stable and peaceful relationship between the two nations, potentially easing tensions on the global stage. Finally, there's the scenario of international intervention. This could take various forms, from economic sanctions to military involvement. While some argue that such steps could help to curb the conflict, others caution that this could escalate the situation further, potentially leading to a larger, more global conflict. Bear in mind, these are just scenarios. The reality is that the future is unpredictable, and the outcome of this conflict will depend on a multitude of factors, ranging from domestic politics to international relations, from economic pressures to societal dynamics. As we continue to monitor this situation, we must keep in mind the importance of understanding the complexity of these issues and the potential implications they hold for our global community. The unfolding events in Ukraine and Russia will undoubtedly continue to captivate our attention as they hold the potential to redefine the global landscape.